Today we're going to react to some comments on a video by Krissy and Rob. They are very much in love, obviously, and they're getting engaged, but the level of simping, or the level of trying to understand why a younger woman will date an older man is just take on a whole new level here. I'm going to try to unpack this a little bit. So let's hear what they have to say.
To me specifically, what is it about me as an older man that gave you the internal green light to move forward with this relationship? How did we meet, and what drew you to me?
Now, I can really tell that the very first week that we've talked that he's really sincere, and his plan for his future with his future Filipina is really appealing. And also, I can find it very beneficial for me and for him, so and vice versa.
You're saying I had a plan?
He had a plan. He had a plan, a really good future plan. So, yeah, that's what interests me.
Post on our community page a poll, and we asked what did people want for our next content, and number one was a tour of our new house, which we did a week ago. And it got a good reaction. And number two, people want to know what it's kind of going through your head in terms of what it's like to be with an older man. You say, I'm only the second man that you've ever been with. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. I am telling it to the public. It's true.
I think people are really interested in is, understanding your motivation. I don't know if you know, I watched YouTube just this morning, and it's one of the YouTubers that's been around forever. And he was telling guys that when you go online to these online dating sites, and Krissy, that's how we met on Filipino-Cupid. It was a miserable experience until we met. So this other guy said 15% of the women on apps like Filipino-Cupid are legit. Everyone else is sour milk, bad, spoiled goods. He says these women in the Philippines, they get into bad relationships, they have a child, the man blows out on them, and then they go on these online dating sites trying to kind of put their lives back together. And I was like, wait a minute, Krissy had a relationship, she had a baby, you were 29, and there you were in an online dating app. But you were quite different than everyone else I'd ever spoken to. But what do you think about, and there was another vlogger who really came down hard on dating single moms.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about these two vloggers, telling people not to get involved with single moms, and the other guy saying that only 15% of the women are, properly motivated?
Yeah, that's quite a bit to unpack right there. There's no real statistics on how many of the women on dating sites are single mothers. But I can tell you a couple of data points walking around in the grocery store, talking to some of the staff. And it is a high percentage, I don't know what percentage, but it's a high percentage of pretty girls looking pretty, working in the mall, that are single mothers, and they're working in Manila, sending money back to their parents or back to their grandmother, watching after the kid. So there is a high percentage, and even online you do get some percentage of pretty ladies that are single mothers, and they're looking for not only love but perhaps some support or a father figure in their life. And there's nothing wrong with being that, as long as the girl is open about what she's looking for and what she wants to achieve in her life. There is something wrong with scamming, where the lady is just trying to find a way to get money from the foreigner without any mention about the fact that she has 3 kids and she's sending money to her grandmother, and she's got a financial obligation there.
Idea, it's their opinion, it's their perspective about single mom, and I'm not gonna say they are wrong, and I'm not gonna say they are right, because they also have a point of telling about.
Yeah, there is a lot of not single but seemingly single pretty ladies, both online and walking around in Makati. I don't know what the percentages are, and I would take anything that's said about percentages with a big grain of salt. We don't really know. But it is a problem, and my take on it is, just for simplicity's sake, just avoid single mothers because it's less headache. I mean, nothing wrong with being a mother and bringing another human being into life. That's actually a positive thing, but the kind of problems and the responsibility that goes with it might be more than you bargained for, especially if you come from the Western world and you already had a family and you've sort of done your duty, so to speak, to raise children, and you feel like now you want to live your older life peacefully. So, my advice is just generally stay away from single mothers. But of course, love can strike in many different ways, and if you do happen to get bitten by love and the girl is a single mother, you may have to reconsider your position. But my recommendation initially, straight out of the gate, is just to avoid single mothers. It's less headache.
About why you should not date a single mom, because dating a single mom is like a little bit challenging, because you will be dating not just one person, but there is a child involved with a relationship, and if you're not interested to take care of a child that is not yours, then it's quite challenging. But it's not that you don't have to or you should not, because there are a lot of single moms that they just
Yeah, she's right about all of that. And of course, the underlying theme, which you also have to think about as a man, is that you are basically raising another man's child. I mean, come on, it's basically not your child. Of course, you can love another human being just as your own children, but you got to be reminded of the fact that you're raising another man's child, and it is his responsibility if he's run away or if he's not supporting the child or supporting the mother in any way financially. That's almost criminal in a way, and you kind of get sucked into this whole thing as well. So keep that in mind.
they just got mistake in choosing the person in her previous life, like what people all do. It's not like they're slut and they just had babies of different men. It's not that, like maybe some, but yeah.
So, another person wrote in, it was kind of a harsh comment, because we've spoken and we said we're waiting a year to get technically married, maybe just a little bit more than a year. And he wrote in, gee, Rob, maybe you should wait 2 years, 1 year to get to know Krissy, and then the second year you should have her son move in and see whether you still want to get married after a year. And I thought that was like, well, on one hand, it was probably good advice, but on the other hand, it was quite aggressive of him to share that on our channel. What do you think when you read that?
I don't feel bad about it, because his advice is really good for most of men who's dating single mom, which is really important. Because if you are going to tie the knot after a year without experiencing the child with you, and then it will be too late for you to back out when the child is there, because you're already married.
Sure.
So a year with you and the Filipina and
Yeah, and the question we have to raise also is, why does a man need to get married? What is the benefit for the guy? There's obvious benefits for the woman with a child to get married, but I don't see if it's an equal or mutual kind of arrangement between man and woman to get married with an older guy and a single mom. That's a whole nother issue which we will touch upon maybe in a few minutes.
another year with you, the Filipina, and her child is like a good advice. But still, it's up to you and your Filipina if It depends it depends on you.
I think when you get engaged, you should be fully committed.
Yep.
But it's good to make sure you spend time. Anybody can act and pretend to be something they're not for a few weeks or a few months. But a year is a long time to keep the 10 pounds of Jell-O in the 5-pound wrapper.
It's so hard.
Yeah, I know.
Myself,
Like,
but
you made it 9 months.
we're almost.
Yeah, you made it 9 months. What do you think about this concept that, gee, we're only 9 months together, and here I am giving advice to other expats on how to meet Filipinas and how to understand the Philippines. These other vloggers have been here 7 years, 10 years. Should people listen to them, or the fact that it took them 8 years before they met somebody they proposed to, or that it took them 6 years before they met a Filipina that they wanted to settle down with?
Yeah, that's a bit of a misconception there. Just because you're a Western man and you come to the Philippines, it doesn't mean you're going to find your life partner within a short period of time. You still have to sift through, you still have to go out dating, and you still have to make some bad choices. And it could take years, particularly in the Philippines. There are so many choices that it actually delays the process in a way, because you're always thinking, or can always be thinking, maybe there's somebody better right around the corner, and you kind of postpone taking the next step. So you always stay in the kind of research mode and interview stage, so to speak. It's not an employee, but it feels like that. You're sort of interviewing prospects for a future marriage or a future life partner.
Is maybe their advice not so good because they weren't very successful in meeting the love of their life? They dated and they had lots of relationships and they have lots of experience, but they weren't necessarily successful. And of course, time will only tell. I mean, here we are pounding on our microphone, saying that we're, all that. But a lot of the expats here, they were successful. They came, they married, they live with their Filipina. They haven't been dating around. In fact, almost all of the people we know in the expat community, they got lucky. They got their bingo. They came, they got their Filipina, and they're living happily ever after. They didn't move here boots on the ground style and roam around until they met their Filipina. And I don't know anybody who met their Filipina that way, even though it's given so often as good advice.
There's nothing wrong of taking an advice from the people who had just like small amount of time of experience, as long as they have experience, because they can teach you
all the mistakes that maybe if you make a lot of mistakes,
they can teach you based on their mistakes. They can teach you based on their success. So we are 9 months.
We haven't had as many mistakes.
Yes, and you can teach them of your success and struggles and mistakes that you have experienced during your previous datings.
Well, and I had 2 episodes of failure myself, but I just didn't commit to coming to the Philippines until I met you. And that was it. I was like all in once I met you. But I had 2 rounds of failure, several years apart. So I got some experience to talk about there. And you've also had some failure.
A lot. Like my previous marriage is my biggest failure in my life.
Yeah, you sort of have like post-traumatic stress syndrome, I think.
I will not disagree, because I think, I agree with that.
So
but,
one of the...
Krissy seems to be very intelligent, and she's traditional and conservative at the same time. So I think my personal opinion is Rob found a good girl there, but we're going to get into some of his insecurities about why does a pretty young girl want to date an older man, etc. So we'll get into that in a few minutes.
Things that is the most, of all the things that's unique about dating an older man, that it just doesn't compute, is like you're so jealous of who I might be talking to, who I might be on the phone with. If I get a message and you don't know who it's from, it drives you crazy. I just find it so bizarre because you're so gorgeous and yet you're so worried about me. And we've talked about this once before, and your comment was, you're not so worried about me, you're worried about all the other Filipinas in the Philippines. So explain that to us.
Women in general, they don't like to have competitor, like we don't like our man to be exposed with other women, because
Yeah, it's comes back to the Filipino culture. There is a lot of mischief and a lot of cheating going on between best friends, and even with the guys and girls that are married. From what I hear, and I don't have any percentage to back this up, but I hear there's a lot of best friends of the girl that's dating a foreigner that try to capture or try to get the interest from the foreigner to become the new girlfriend. So I don't know what the percentages are, but I guess it's not like the West, where we kind of respect another couple and we don't try to interfere. At least that's how I was brought up. There is no if I meet a couple, I never show any interest to the girl, and that's kind of understood and respectful kind of attitude. But I guess in the Philippines, it's not like that. I guess it's, I don't know what you would call it, but it's, I guess some people treat a Filipina dating a foreigner as a good potential mate, and interference in a couple's life is okay. And I don't agree with that, but I've noticed that on several occasions, and also been told on that on several occasions.
It's men. They will be attracted to them, and as a woman, we like our man to be just attracted to us, which is very impossible because you have lives, you have issues.
But I'm so much older. What makes...
Yeah, we'll get into he's so much older in a minute. But I remember when I was dating a young girl, when I was a younger man, the father came to me and he told me, sort of off the record without the girl hearing, that men are like basic animals, and they have their sexual needs, and they need to pursue multiple partners and blah blah blah. And there's not, you're fighting nature by trying to be with one girl or one lady only. I don't agree with that attitude, but that's what he was trying to tell me. This was the father of the girl I was dating, and I don't know whether he was trying to give me the green light for having an affair with somebody else beside his daughter. But later in his life, he, I guess, got divorced, and then I think he moved to a country where prostitution was legal in some places, and he kind of lived out his later life as a single man, visiting prostitutes and houses that offer girlfriends for hire. I didn't quite understand that or agree with that, but that was an interesting piece of my life. And now we're going to get into some of his or Rob's questions about why is Krissy so jealous of him because he's so old and over the hill. It's almost ridiculous. I'm shaking my head, but we'll get into it. Let's watch.
Makes you think that women are going to come chasing after me?
Well, that only proves that I don't see our age gap.
Oh, and I have no experience of being a cheater, so it's like, for me, it's like a lot of work. Like every time you walk in the room, I'm like, okay, instead of putting my phone down and saying hello, I like keep my phone up so you can see what I was doing, because that's the easiest way to put that issue to bed.
Yeah, because women, we have a lot of things that is playing on in our...
Yeah, there is no age gap in the Philippines. Rob, you are still a newbie with that kind of attitude. I remember a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention name, but he was an American, and I introduced him to a lady that was 22 years old, and he just kept talking to me every week about, is this real? Is this Nils? Can this be a true love, or is she just looking for money? What's going on here? And he took a long time to adjust. In fact, I gave him a T-shirt on his birthday, and I'll try to find a picture of it and post it when I'm doing the editing for this video, where it said, I'm still adjusting. On the front of his T-shirt it said, I'm still adjusting, because that was his common phrase every week when we were talking about girlfriends and his girlfriend and ladies in the Philippines. He was always saying, oh my God, I'm still adjusting. And that described him perfectly. And I would say, I'm going to give another T-shirt to Rob. He is just exactly as my friend, in the same mindset. Luckily, my friend came around and he realized there is no age gap in the Philippines. But Rob is still big and stuck in the age gap thing, and you'll hear what he says here as we go along.
Your mind, especially if you have a very bad experience when it comes to relationship, and that will not die that easily. You will still have those memories, you will still have those trauma that you had in your past experience.
So you think if you were dating a man who was 35, you would be just as jealous or even more jealous?
Same. I think same.
Okay, so
even more jealous.
The
oh my God, Rob is just so stuck on this age gap thing. What difference does it make if a guy is 35 or 70? The woman is still going to be jealous. I mean, age doesn't exist in age gap doesn't exist in the Philippines. She's just going to be as jealous.
let's go ahead and answer the question of what is it really like to be with an older man. I mean, there's the physical. I'm physically not the man I was at 35. I'm all gray and getting.
Oh my God, now we're getting into it. Rob is still stuck in the mindset of looking at girls as beauty objects, and he thinks that girls look at him as beauty objects, which is completely false. Women in the Philippines and women anywhere in the world don't look at men as beauty objects. You know, if they are handsome, if they are, you know, good shape, good health, whatever, got a full lot of hair and remain youthful, of course that's a plus. But that's not the reason why girls choose a partner. The reason a girl chooses a partner, and I hope Rob is listening, is because of their social value. And as we'll find out as Krissy keeps talking here, she actually does acknowledge Rob for having a lot of social value. And he doesn't even know it himself. He thinks he's just an old guy with thin hair, and he's got no social value at all. But he does have a lot of social value, and that's why Krissy likes him.
I'm getting older by the second here. So, you know, the question is, you know, when we first met in the airport, I think I've mentioned before, I was so worried that you would take one look at me and go, oh, he's so old, I can't do it. And I just was really worried about that. And I was in tip-top shape. I probably weighed...
Yeah, he's stuck in the age gap problem.
About 15 pounds less than I do now. And but what were you thinking? Because you've never been with a Western man in person, ever, right?
Ever.
Maybe you thought, well, your cousin got married or something, so you met one. You said hello.
I never had a long conversation with it for.
Yeah, and never in person, like kind of. In person, yeah. So we met at Manila Airport, NAIA Terminal 3. What was it like for you in that first moment when we met?
Well, you know, when I came out to from the airport in the waiting area, I saw you, and then I hid in the big wall, and I was like, oh my God, am I ready to face this person? Like, I can talk to him online with my English, but I don't know in person if I can still speak up, you know, like it's very difficult. Online you will just like, okay, what is the English of? You can think, but in person it's face to face, up front. you have to talk to, you have to,
But what about
and they,
when you laid eyes on me and you're like, he's really old?
no, I was expecting, because you were 66 when we met, I was expecting that, like a typical Filipino man, when they get 66, you will really tell, okay, he's really older, But when I saw you, I was like, I think you're lying with your age.
Yeah, I pay her to say these things, by the way.
Yeah, but I was just like,
Well, I should say Filipinas are not very good at judging age of foreigners. They might be good at judging ages of their own people, but they're way off usually. Same way us foreigners are way off when judging the age of Filipinas. So, yeah, I see that as a reason why she didn't think he was looking so old.
but I saw his ID, so he's not lying. But you're really different.
Oh, so but did you were you really worried what it would be like to be with an older man before we actually met in person?
I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about me. I was afraid that I can't play my role as a girlfriend with you because of our age gap. You may find me very childish or very too young and immature, and I.
Yeah, that's she's speaking the truth here. Filipinos are really worried about themselves when they meet an older guy. There is no age gap. Seriously, guys, if you're one of those guys that think you're not going to do well with a young Filipina because of an age gap, please adjust yourself and your thinking. There is no age gap.
I can't reach the level of your maturity. So that's what I was afraid. But of you being in the relationship with me as a partner, I am totally confident that you will be a good partner. Because you are experienced.
Well, but I think it would be... Sometimes I think to myself, gosh, what if I was 30 and I showed up in an airport and I met a 66-year-old woman? And what in the world? It would just seem... I mean, she might have a great personality.
Yeah, he just can't get it that a young woman can date an older guy. It's never ever going to be the same in reverse. A woman doesn't look at a man the way a man looks at a woman. Sorry, I hope Rob is listening. You would be a lot better off and a lot happier if you just let that go. I mean, you could be, I don't know how old, but if the woman finds you have social value, that is attractive. That is what she likes. It doesn't matter if you have no hair, gray hair, or even a pot belly. If you have social value and she recognizes that, you are going to be her man, or she wants you to be her man. That's why there's hope for guys like me. I'm an older guy too, and I have a beautiful girlfriend. Young, beautiful girlfriend.
We might have a lot in common, but she'd just be so much older. I don't know that I could get past that. How do you do that as a woman?
Because we women, we like a man that is more mature and older than us. So instead of feeling awkward about the age gap, we feel like more.
Yeah, Rob is really feeling awkward about the age gap. Please let that go, Rob, if you're listening.
Attracted to it.
Yeah. While we're talking about your family, what's their general perception of you getting together with a man in his 60s, later 60s? Actually, I'm 67.
What's important to them is that I'm happy and safe. They told me that when.
Yeah, Krissy is speaking the truth here. Age gap doesn't exist in the Philippines. One day Rob is going to find that out, but I hope he finds out sooner and starts reducing the anguish from this worry.
I told them that I'm gonna meet you when you're 66 and this and that. We're planning to live not near them. I told them about our future plans. Yeah. I told them that we're not yet getting married until a year or two. And they were like, well, you're a grown-up woman and we believe in you, we trust you, and as long as you're safe and you're happy, we will be happy.
Going back to the beginning, you were thinking about taking a teaching job in Vietnam. You had all your paperwork at the embassy, and that was a month or two away. You were getting pressured by a girlfriend telling you that it was a really good way to save up a lot of money because they pay you like 3 times more than a school teacher here, and then there's no expenses. And so you could bank 3-4 years of money, and away you would go. But you met me, and so the question is, what was it about meeting me that struck you as different? What was it about our initial meeting and then our subsequent romance that was unique? And what were you feeling about moving forward with the concept of actually maybe meeting in person and being in a relationship with a much older man?
You were very sincere and very practical. When I say practical, you didn't say charming words just to attract me to you. You were presenting the plans as what will happen in reality.
Yeah, Krissy is getting into some really truth-giving advice here. Filipinas do think older men are a good catch for the reasons she's describing, including, she mentioned, practical.
So I have a detailed plan.
Yeah, detailed plan, not a fantasy. Like I'm gonna make you my queen, my princess, and like that. You really presented the plans that is realistic.
So instead,
yeah, the Filipino culture comes from Spain, and in the old days, the suitor or the guy would play guitar under the window, expressing his love for the girl, but the girls don't really pursue that or don't value that. They know that romance is easy to find, but they're looking for more than that. They're looking for a guy that has social value, that's practical, that knows how to fix things, has a plan, is an organizer, and has his life together. He's stable. Just listen to every word that Krissy is saying here. It's very eye-opening and very truthful.
instead of saying I'm going to bring you to America and
Yeah.
you're going to live like a queen, I said I don't want to go to America.
Yes.
I want to stay in the Philippines. I had to talk you into it
Yeah.
because
And-
initially you wanted someone who's going to take you to the West.
Yeah. I'm in between. Like if I can adjust. Like if someone is sincere with me before I met you, and then you want me to bring in the U.S. As long as he's sincere, I'm okay with that. But if someone will say I want to live in the Philippines, I'm sincere, then I'm also okay with that.
So let me ask you this. A lot of guys online in the expat groups, they're like, you're giving an allowance to your Filipina. You should never give a dime. Her family survived before I showed up and they'll survive. You've probably heard that not all Western men are okay with the idea of contributing a little something.
Yeah.
Was it in your mind when we first met to try and figure out which side of the aisle I would fall on? Was that something you really needed to know or wanted to know?
So after a few weeks when we got serious, you presented to me that if I'm gonna stop working because you want a companion in the
I don't want
house,
to be alone. Yeah.
you're going to give me allowance, and that allowance is just to make me feel that I don't lost my income because I
Worked as a teacher.
yes,
Yeah.
I work as a teacher.
So what if a foreigner said to you, I don't believe in this nonsense. You're not a child and an allowance. Your family doesn't need, I'm willing to treat you like a princess, but there'll be no money for your family. And you just get what.
Yeah, that kind of Western thinking is not going to fly in the Philippines, or if you're dating a pretty Filipina girl. She is responsible not only for her own life or even her own kid, but she's responsible for her parents. I mean, it's a kind of a reverse system of in the Western world where parents are responsible for the children growing up. In the Philippines, it's reverse. The children are responsible for their parents getting old. It's really unfair for the children because they don't get to save any money, and they don't get to establish their life. So it's really a bad system, frankly, but let's hear what she's got to say.
You get to keep the house going, and that they're welcome to visit and stuff, but I'm not going to make up for your lost income if you quit teaching and be my wife. What would you say to somebody like that?
If if I am a Filipina that never worked before, I think I can put up with that, because you cannot really feel the changes. Only you can feel is like the step up of your life, that you're living in a good house, and But if, like me, that I've been working since I graduated in college, even in college I was working, that will make me feel the urge to work, because we want to buy stuff without telling our husband, hey, I want to buy this, and I want to ask for money, because we don't like asking for money. So if you're gonna give your Filipina allowance, she doesn't need to ask you, because she have an allowance.
Right. When we first met,
Yeah, she doesn't like to ask for money. That's a good plus. But what she doesn't mention is Filipinas love to borrow money. They do love to ask to borrow money, and that's not good. Filipinas need to be in the mindset of earning money, not borrowing money. But that's a topic for another video.
and
Yes.
you started to imagine yourself being the girlfriend, the fiance, the wife of an older man. What was that whole thought process like for you? What stages did you go through?
Stage 1 are differences, because you are experienced, and my experience is just half of your experience.
Yeah, she's so gentle, so sweet. And most Filipinas are the same way. They consider an older man, mature guy, retired or whatever, as experienced, as wise, as full of wisdom, as making good life decisions. So they have learned to appreciate that, because Philippines is a survival country. I mean, it's a poor country focused on survival. So they appreciate when they see an older, mature guy from the West, full of wisdom.
There are things that I've learned from you, which is I never known before, especially when it comes to relationship, and also the society, how the society will look our relationship. So it's quite challenging, and but just a short period of time we overcome it, and I don't really care about it anymore, about the society.
We don't get the same.
Yeah, they do have a lot of pressure from the culture in the Philippines when a girl is dating a foreigner, and young or old, somebody different. They do have a lot of pressure. Who, that is he measuring up? Is he going to take care of the girl, or is he just here for party and drinking and abusing the local Filipina? They have a lot of pressure on them from their friends and their family. So I can understand that.
Stink eye here. I don't think you notice it, do you?
Yes, but when I get
Yes,
to
you notice it?
yes, I noticed
You
some,
notice some stink
Yeah.
eye. You do.
yeah, but I stopped looking.
Oh,
I stopped, I just stopped looking at them. So
Yeah.
like,
you don't care.
Yeah,
And then we hang out with other expats, and they have younger wives.
Yeah, she's a nice girl. She's very good. She doesn't fall for the gossip. But it's sometimes hard to avoid it. I mean, neighbors and family, they're going to gossip.
There's a great expat community here in terms of just blending in and not feeling awkward. I never really feel that awkward anymore. We go walking around the mall. I just don't feel.
Yes.
If anything, I think people think, God, this guy he's so lucky he met such a beautiful woman. That's what I think. If anybody's
He's still in that mindset of having landed a beauty queen, and he's so lucky, blah, blah, blah. Rob, you need to get out of that mindset. Of course, your future wife is beautiful, but it's more than just the the skin deep looks, you know, of your future wife. There's a lot more here, and she's got a nice personality. She's got a nice, intelligent attitude. You know, she's going to be a good long-term partner for you. Don't just look at her like a beauty object. I know that's what guys frequently do, and that's how we were programmed to think of a woman. You know, how does she look, and her figure, her the shininess of her hair, the skin color. You know, there's a lot of beauty features that show youthfulness, but it all relates back to childbearing. Frankly, if you look at all the magazines with all the beauty pictures, you can conclude in one sentence what that is all about. It's all about health and their ability to carry children. That's what it's all about. Guys are programmed to seek a woman that is healthy and can carry children. That's it. You know, you can talk about features this, features that, but that's all that's basically down with health and child carrying ability.
Stare, and it's like because people stare at a pretty woman no matter where you are in the world. If you have a beautiful woman on your arm, people will stare. That's how I kind of feel if anybody's looking. They're like, wow, look at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob, you're thinking like a guy, but make no mistake, women don't think like you. They think of men as social values.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, sometimes I just believe on the beautiful things that they might say rather than the bad things that they might say. So it's just up to you what you will believe then.
Okay, so now let's get to the practical side. You're waking up every day with a man who's over 65. You know, what's it like? I mean, you know, is it like living with your grandfather?
I don't feel that, because if I feel that, maybe I will be frank, like maybe I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sleeping with my grandfather. I need to go home.
It'd be horrible to hear that. Yeah.
But I didn't feel that. It's really nice to have.
Yes, Rob, wake up. She doesn't feel that. She doesn't think like you think. She looks at your social value. You could have no hair and have a pot belly, but she looks at you like a value in her life, and it doesn't matter what you look like. Frankly, it's hard for guys to believe that because they always look at girls like beauty objects.
Of a person beside you who will feel like the one that is guiding you, protecting you, and teaching you a lot of things than being with a person who is inexperienced and you need to learn together.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but you're always chasing me around the house. What's up with that?
Because I want to be closer. I want to be closer to your phone.
Oh, you really?
Just kidding.
I mean, seriously, I have to learn self-defense because you're like constantly after me. What's going on there? Are you figuring you better strike while the iron's hot before I get too old?
No, I just feel like I want to be.
Rob, please knock it off. You're old, and so am I, but you're not too old to attract a beautiful young Filipina.
Close. You're like my my battery. You know, I need you.
Do you think we have age-related differences, and how do we handle them? Like, can you think of age-related differences that we have?
When it comes to experience, when it comes to past experiences.
I don't make you like carry the heavy items or anything like that.
Oh, like, okay.
I still climb the ladders and do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have those types of age-related experiences.
Sometimes you carry me when I tell you to carry me.
Right. So, do we have age-related experience? I mean, I think that the one thing that
you sleep first.
I sleep first. Sometimes Krissy stays up and watches videos. So Krissy likes these shorts, you know, like YouTube's shorts on YouTube, shorts on TikTok. And I don't like shorts. I like long form, like we're doing here.
So I think that is what our age tells.
And that's the age thing. Is like, so she's always watching these like 30-second shorts, and she's like, "Oh, that's so funny."
Yeah, wisdom comes with age, and there's a lot of good YouTube videos that I watch now as well that just enriches my life, enriches my brain. So it looks like Rob is in a similar mindset, but that comes with age. That's normal. And young girls, they love TikTok, and they for some reason they want to, promote their beauty and their ability to have children, I guess. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way we're all programmed. I mean, not all, but that's the way women are programmed. They want to enhance or promote their childbearing abilities.
Let me show it to you. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to see it. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. So that's like me. And then here in the Philippines, they have these two things they do on the radio and on comedy shows. They're like laugh tracks. And how would you make the sound for the noise on the laugh track? Yeah, so if you're in the taxi and the radio is being played, and it could be just any old AM station, you will hear that like every 7 seconds, and then they have a laugh.
Yeah, that's common in the Philippines. Drive me nuts also when I'm in the taxi and they play those talk shows with those laugh tracks. It's a true sign of having arrived in the Philippines.
Track. What is the laugh? They have like, where is it? A horn? There's a horn going off like this. I don't know what it is about the Filipino sense of humor, but like it's everywhere and you can't get away from it. And a lot of the videos Krissy watches or the comedies. Yeah,
the Filipino people are very happy people, and it comes from their poverty kind of culture. They need to brighten up their day with something, and if they don't have money or they don't have resources to brighten their day, they just start laughing and start talking about something funny, and I admire that. I think we Western people, we Western guys, have a lot to learn from the Filipinos.
Sometimes she'll watch some Filipino TV and the laugh track is just full of that. It sounds like a Woody Woodpecker type thing. That's the age-related thing I can think of. Can you think of any other age-related thing? Like, I do old guy stuff that you don't really care for?
Yeah, so the humor or the trying to brighten up the day is not related to age. That's just the Filipino culture. They are just brought up that way to try to find a positive moment in every day, because their life is usually pretty miserable in terms of material goods. So they just find happy moments whenever they can.
Reading news.
I read a lot of news.
Usually, especially these younger teenagers right now, they don't read news. They just do TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and blah blah blah. But they don't really read news. I do sometimes, but unlike before that, I can read like really long lines. Because I'm getting old.
And I don't drink much anymore, if at all, and you don't drink.
Yeah, I do.
But you're very, very religious, and I'm just a little spiritual. So that's a little difference.
A little difference.
And then I don't want to have any more children, because I've already got 3 and 6 grandchildren, and you have 1 child. And we agreed when we first met we weren't going to have children. You were not happy. There was a day or 2 or 3 when we were dating online where I wasn't sure if that might break us.
I was just thankful that I already have a child, because if I don't have a child, maybe I'm gonna say no to you, because you made it clear that you don't want a child anymore. And for me as a woman, being a woman will never be complete if you don't have a child, because being a woman means to bear a child.
So some people think that until you have a child together, your relationship is just superficial. It's not.
Yeah, the name woman, the word woman actually comes from the word womb, meaning, baby. So she's right. I mean, Krissy is right. Being a woman, you need to bear a child. You need to propagate, I guess, the human species. That's programmed in our genes. I mean, if a woman does not have a child, she's not following the program of our own genes. So that's understandable.
Really cemented, and it can, if you have a big fight. Since you don't have a child together, the relationship could break. Whereas if you're cemented together with a child, you'll always be in some sort of relationship.
I disagree, even though there's a lot of people that think that way. But you know, my parents told us before, like, your love to each other came first before you had a child. So that love, what it is, what binds you together, not really the child. Child is just the fruit of your love together.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you don't have a child, you're not binded. You're binded by your love.
So you go back to the well a few times every now and then.
Yeah, very nice, Krissy. Nice to hear.
You try and talk me into it.
I'm not really serious about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not really serious about it. I just wanna get something from your head. Like maybe you can be able to say, okay, I'll give you just one. And then I'll go, oh.
Well, you know, I'm navigating the first year being away from my family back in America. Age difference, you know, why there's such a big age gap opportunity here is possibly because, you know, the standard of living is a little bit lower here, and you're a licensed college graduate. You had to take a licensure exam for teaching, and your first few teaching jobs, you had to hike up through a river and couldn't come home. You had to spend the entire week at the school.
Yes.
And how much did they pay you for that teaching job?
That's 10,000 pesos.
So that's $182 a month.
Yes.
And you had to be...
Yeah, Rob and Krissy, and this is very common with other Filipinos that I talk to. They don't understand the value of money. I mean, you can go to Japan and the average salary is 4.5 million, whatever the currency is, per year, and it doesn't mean anything. I mean, the value of money depends on what you can buy with the money. That's where it comes in. So on 10,000 pesos, you might be able to live very comfortably on that. You know, it's equivalent to $180. But if everything is cheap, if everything, food and rent and everything else is cheap compared to those $180, you can live on that. It's not a matter of how much money in US dollars you get in salary per month. That has nothing to do with it. And I think Rob is focusing on this $180 being so low, and how can you live on that? And frankly, I just think that's the wrong attitude to take. You need to ask, how much does it cost to live in the Philippines? That should be the real question, and compare that to the salary that they get.
Someone would drop you off, you would hike. How long was the hike up to the school?
Like, it's like a drive and drop, because it was really a risky road up in the mountains. So if you're not be careful, you will fall into the cliff.
Right.
Or you will experience like huge flood, which you cannot go home because you cannot cross the river.
Right.
Very risky.
Yeah, and so only $183 per month you got to pay for your transportation, your lodging, your food.
Yes.
You needed money to give to your relatives if they needed money. How do you get by? How do you?
Yeah, and that gets into the real point that I was making. You need to know how much are the living costs per month. You don't need to know, well, you do need to know, but you don't need to only know the salary that's being paid per month. You need to know how much does it cost to live per month, the living costs.
Manage on $183 a month. Is it possible? You have to live at home. You have to live at home, right?
During that time, I don't have a kid yet, so it's possible to live, to support yourself, and also you don't have to go shopping and go buying because you will stay in the school. Like
they'll feed you.
Yeah, and
they would feed you.
No, but
you have to pay for your own food out of that $180.
You have to pay for your own food.
Okay, so you know, I'm going to put a chart up here of the average salary of a Filipino. What's considered poor, lower middle class, upper middle class, rich. I told you before.
Yeah, those figures mean nothing, Rob. But you need to know the living costs. Filipino middle class to make any sense of those numbers.
They've done extensive research, and $41,000 per year is considered rich, and having $63,000 in the bank is considered rich in the Philippines. Now, a regular teaching job, you're going to make like 25,000 pesos a month, which is like $450 a month.
Yeah.
It's a tough life here. Dating an older man who can provide.
It's not a tough life to live in the Philippines, even on an average Social Security benefit check that I receive every month, because things are really a lot cheaper here than in the United States. For example, the rent of my Western apartment with Western amenities is, 30,000 pesos per month, and I can add 1,500 pesos for electricity and probably $200 or $300 for water. So the living costs here in the Philippines are extremely low. You can do really well on a below poverty level income in the U.S. And that's what is missing from this discussion with Rob.
Financial security is a path, and I mean, for me, I think either Krissy deserves like 9 Oscars for the best actress on the planet, or we've actually, got something real. I'm pretty darn happy right now. Can you boil it down, in like 30 seconds of an elevator ride? If you had to just give a kernel of advice, the single best piece of advice. A lot of guys that they can't handle these dating sites, and then they're being told, oh, you just show up, boots on the ground. But then when they get here, everyone's working and they're struggling with meeting people there. This whole age gap relationship, why Philippines? There's so many questions that people have. But if you could only give one piece of advice, your best advice, what would it be?
Just keep going. Be patient, and also be smart.
Well, what do you mean be smart?
Be smart. Watch out of the scammers. Watch out of the unreal person. Watch out of the gold diggers. You can only find out the real gold if you will melt it through a really high temperature. So it means if you're gonna go through to a really tough situation, that will be the time that
she'll have your back or she won't.
Yeah, if she will have your back.
So
or she
trial by fire.
Yeah.
And so you got to come out here and you got to make a life together. Because if you just come out here and have a really great 30 days and propose and tell her you're going to move her to America, you're right back in a long distance relationship, and you'll never. Will that be enough? 30 days out here in the Philippines? Maybe not.
30 days is not enough, but if you have that 30 days, it's a good start.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. Living together is like it's like the hard situation to escape of showing the real you.
Yeah, you love to spend time together. You're very.
Yes, I will attack Rob even he's having his coffee.
That's right. That's my rule. If I have hot coffee in my hand, don't grab my hand.
Like hot coffee and hot Filipina here. Like, oh my God, what's happening to me? I'm melting. Well, speaking of bumps into a relationship, I think it's a good sign if you are experiencing challenges and bumps in your relationship. It means you're.
Oh, you bumps? I thought you said bombs.
Your bumps.
The bumps.
Bumps. Problem. It means your relationship is growing.
Growing pains.
Yes, because if it.
Okay, good to hear that, Krissy. You think having some challenges and bumps in the relationship is good, and I have to agree with that. You not only learn about yourself, but you learn about the partner. But regardless of that, I think a love relationship is honestly the best way to learn about life, to learn about yourself. You can see so many aspects of human nature and human life just by having a woman by your side. It's not just all about sex and romance and intimacy. It's in my mind, it's all about discovering yourself, your true nature of yourself. It's easy to find a girlfriend, but it's hard to find a lifetime companion, and even harder to find your best friend, which is yourself.